Goldylocks Productions broadcasts universal cosmic frequencies that unlock, awaken, and expand the consciousness of our worldwide viewers and listeners.
Goldylocks Productions presents the Live from Little Bear Sanctuary show with Christopher Vane. Enjoy topics such as the vegan lifestyle, sanctuary media highlights, and spotlighting new rescues.
Happy Friday, friends. Welcome to Live from Little Bear Sanctuary. I'm your host, Chris Vane. Tofu thought he would join me today at the last minute. Hi, everybody. Say hi, everybody. Okay, so we're broadcasting live from the Goldylocks Productions YouTube channel, the Little Bear Sanctuary Facebook page, and in the past few weeks, we're live on Rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. I got to do it every week. Sorry, guys. So if you're watching live on this Friday, July 16th, 2021, don't forget to sign in, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. It's a great way to support the Sanctuary and all the shows on the Goldylocks Productions Network. And if you missed any episodes, we are on demand on all of those places and every major podcast site. So let's see. We got people signing in already. Good morning, everybody. I want to just say a big thank you to everybody who came out and volunteered last weekend. Gosh, you guys did an amazing job. We had a great turnout. We literally filled 3 dumpsters of garbage that was out in one of the pig fields. And we're so grateful to everybody who worked their butts off in the heat, Florida, humid, awful weather. Thank you, everybody who turned out. We had at least 30 people. It was a lot of fun. And a big thanks to the Sarasota Vegan Deli for supplying, for catering. They did some amazing vegan mac and cheese and vegan barbecue pulled pork. Love me some mac and cheese. All right, so today I'm really excited about my guest today. She's the creator of BaconDestroy.com, and that's BakenDestroy.com. She's the author of Bacon Destroy, Good Food for Bad Vegans, actually one of my favorite cookbooks. And she's the director of marketing for Upton's Naturals. Welcome to the studio, Natalie Slater.
Hi, happy Friday.
Hi, Natalie, how are you?
I'm good. I've got some guests with me.
I can see that. Which one is Lulu and which one is Flapjack?
This is Flapjack, and behind me is Lulu. She's having a snooze right now.
Yeah, I can see that. Very nice. Very nice. They're so cute.
Thank you.
So how are you today?
I'm great. I'm happy it's Friday and excited to be talking to you.
Oh, me too. I'm glad to have you here today. Wearing your t-shirt.
I see. Look at that.
Love your merch.
Thank
you. A lot of fun. So what'd you have for breakfast?
I'm not a big eating in the morning person, so I usually just make a smoothie.
Yeah.
It's not a very exciting answer. On the weekends, when I can sleep in, then I'll make a good breakfast sandwich or something. But on the weekdays, I'm up so early that I'm just not in the mood.
Yeah. For me, it's my coffee in the morning.
Oh yeah, and of course the
coffee.
Yeah, I actually woke my teenager up because he'll sleep until 1 if I let him, and I let him know, if you want to go make your coffee, you should do it now before I get on this video. So he just made himself an Americano and he's back in his room now.
Good times. Wow. So how's the pandemic been out there? You guys all doing well? Everything's okay?
Yeah, I mean, things seem to be on an upswing here. I think people, I live in Chicago, so in general, I think people took it pretty seriously right away. Like a lot, major cities are
unlike Florida.
Well, even like my hometown, which is only an hour outside of Chicago, I think, people are a little more skeptical in more rural areas usually. And so I feel like people in general took it pretty seriously here from the jump and are still being cautious. Like, even though all the mandates have been lifted, like you'll still see a lot of masks in the stores and things like that, which I'm on board with, because this is the longest I've ever gone without catching a cold or anything. So, I mean, if I have to wear a mask in the store to never have a cold
if
again,
that helps to never get sick, that's pretty amazing, right?
It's a minor inconvenience.
Yeah, I'm from New York City, so before I moved to Florida, like every year, always sick. You just can't avoid it,
Yeah.
So, slasher films, pro wrestling, punk rock, heavy metal, cupcakes.
Yes.
Is there anything better than a cupcake?
I know they sort of had their moment, and then now, it kind of seems like everyone's forgotten about them, but
not me.
I just baked cupcakes last weekend, and I was like living for it. I was just like, it's the perfect amount of cake, and just like, you can frost a big pile if you're a big frosting person. They're still pretty great.
Yeah. Love me a good cupcake. Yeah. So you've been on a couple reality shows. You were the first judge on Cupcake Wars, right?
Yeah, I was a judge on the pilot episode.
How was that? I've heard some scandalous things about it.
Yeah, it's a strange experience. They didn't quite know what they wanted to do with the show yet. And that's true of a pilot episode. And it was kind of a long time ago. So when I tell people some of the things that happened, they're always shocked, just given that, like, now when you watch Food Network, every chef has hand tattoos, every contestant on every show has neck tattoos. Like,
true.
When they were setting me up to appear on the pilot episode, they were really worried about my tattoos, and like went so far as to tape my long sleeves down to my wrists and to my collar to make sure that nothing peeked out as I was moving. And so, like, it's not a great feeling to be asked to do something and then to kind of be told, but we don't like how you look.
Yeah, gosh, right?
It doesn't give you a lot of confidence. So now that I'm a few years removed from it, like, I can look back on it and say it's pretty cool that I got to do that. It's not, it's not something most people get to do, but I also think that helped me figure out that I could definitely live without ever being on TV again. And so over the years, as people have approached me with varying degrees of embarrassing ideas for TV shows, it's been really easy for me to say, no, I'm pretty happy just being no one. Like, that's fine. I don't want to do that.
It's so funny. I can relate. I have a lot of tattoos, and last year we were having a ton of press. Like, all the networks were here every single day, and I got a call from what's her face. She was on the Food Network. She has a talk show. She's a chef. Oh my God, I can't remember her name.
Rachel Ray?
Rachel Ray, yes. So Rachel Ray, one of her people call me, and they're like, oh, we'd like to have you on the show. We're talking for like 45 minutes, right? At the very end, she says, so do you have any distinguishing features? And I'm like, and then she said, like, green hair or tattoos. And I was like, and I said, well, I have tattoos. And then she's like, well, where are they? How much do they show? Like, she went into this whole, and then I never heard back from them.
Oh my gosh.
So it still goes on, depending on the,
Yeah, it's so stupid, because Rachel Ray is one of the few chefs who is not covered in tattoos. So
exactly. Yeah, true.
Yeah, that's really, I had a better experience, though, I should say. a few years after that, I was on the cooking channel, making vegan cupcakes with Kelsey Nixon. And
cool.
That experience was so nice. It couldn't have been more opposite. Like they were happy to let me wear whatever I wanted as long as, it registered well on camera. Like I had short sleeves. No one said a word. They didn't care, and everyone was great and made me feel really comfortable. And it was just like such a great, pleasant experience. Plus this might be controversial. That show was shot in New York City, which is like my second favorite city in the world. Obviously, I'm pretty loyal to Chicago. Yeah. Cupcake Wars was shot in LA. That's not my favorite place. So I'll just leave it at that.
I get it. Yeah,
I had a better time overall.
That explains it.
It was just
totally explains it. Although maybe I think LA is changing a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean LA. I have a lot of friends there now. There's so much vegan stuff. Like I'm sure. Now I only ever go for work. There's a big natural products show there every year, but then it's in Anaheim, so we really only make it to LA for like an hour or so.
Which is probably a good thing anyway.
I'm sure that if I went back and spent time really exploring, I would like it. But just if I had to choose one or the other, I would go to New York every time.
Me too. So tell me a little bit about your journey to being vegan.
Sure. Well, I've always listened to like punk rock and heavy metal since I was in 5th grade or so. And so I just kind of made my way into the world of hardcore. And this time in my life was like the mid to late 90s. And so hardcore was seeing a big sort of like resurgence of like the straight edge movement and like the vegetarian movement that was really big in hardcore in the 80s. And so there was like this second wave of it in the 90s. And I would just end up at shows that were happening in Krishna temples. Like Krishna temples would host hardcore shows.
Right.
It was great. You'd go to the show, you'd see 4 bands, and then the temple would set up like a vegetarian buffet that was free and give you like a little pamphlet about why you should consider vegetarianism. And so it was really just being in that environment and trying all these new foods, because I'm Midwestern and I grew up eating Midwestern, a pretty typical Midwestern diet. I'd never had Indian food. I'd never had Thai food, nothing. My hometown still doesn't have Thai food. Wow. You can't get a falafel there. So just tasting all these new foods and just kind of learning, what was really happening to animals in the food industry at this time in my life when I was 17, 18 years old, and like really starting to try to figure out what kind of person I wanted to be. So I became a vegetarian first, and I did that kind of gradually. I first was like, oh, I can't believe what happens to pigs. And then I quit eating them. And I sort of took it animal by animal for a while until I just, I ended up with like, well, I don't want to eat any of these animals. And so I was a vegetarian when I was still living at home. And then eventually when I moved to Chicago to go to college, I met a lot of vegans. We started going to vegan restaurants after shows. We would go to Soul Veg, or we would go to Chicago Diner, just all these places in Chicago. And it was very normal. It was very like, there were so many vegans then that were such a huge part of my group of friends that it was just normal that you would kind of fall in line and do what everyone else was doing. So yeah,
it makes a huge difference when you're surrounded by vegans and vegetarians and that like-minded. Yeah.
So I think now is such a cool, it's just like such an interesting time, because I feel like I had that community at a time that was important for me to have it. And then there was sort of this like area in between where it was tougher to have that. Like veganism sort of fell out of fashion again, like at that point, and everyone was on the Atkins diet and it was harder. And then now we're all so connected that you can have that community again, even if you don't physically have it around you. Like it's pretty easy to find those people online. So I think it's really cool. It's an exciting time. There's so many new vegans, and it's an exciting time.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's especially coming from New York City and now living in a relatively small town here in Florida, of all places. I think I'm the only vegan in Punta Gorda. Maybe there's one other person. Just kidding. Like thank God for Instagram. That was my saving grace for a long time. You know. Yeah,
and I think I don't know. I hope at least that we're getting to a point where even that community is more approachable. I think it's also less cool to gatekeep now than it has been in the past. So
sure.
There was a few years ago where I might have hesitated before I told someone, like, just start following some vegans on Instagram and ask questions, like, because who knows how they would get treated. But I think even that is changing.
That's definitely changing. I usually call it like the stages of veganism. You go vegan and you want everybody to know, and you find out about, how animals are treated. And then you sort of become the vegan police, there's like that. and then you just don't give a crap anymore. So,
yeah. It's such a good place to be in. Like,
my gosh. Yeah.
I was
How long have you been vegan now?
What was that? I'm sorry.
How long have you been vegan?
I first went vegan in 2000.
Okay.
I did fall away from it, I will say, somewhere around like 2004 or 5, I quit for a couple years, and then I came back to it. So it's probably been about 10 years now that I've been back, like, fully committed to it.
Awesome.
But I was thinking about it this morning, because I imagined that we would probably talk about how and why we became vegan. And I was just thinking, like, I feel really lucky to have learned about veganism as early as I did, and to have so many years being able to sit with it, 20 plus years being able to, like, really sit with it. Because as an early vegan, as a young vegan, I was really angry and aggressive about it. And I wrote a lot of letters to the editor, and was probably pretty unpleasant to be around for a lot of people. And I'm glad I did all of that at a time when I didn't have easy access to, like, massive platforms the way we all do now. Because now I've been with it longer. I'm more comfortable and confident in my own approach. Yeah. It's easier for me to help other people and like accept their stumbles, because I've made my own. And I think that it's just it's just fortunate to be able to get to that point where things still upset me and make me angry. There's a lot of terrible things out there, but to have some perspective and to be able to be more patient with people, I think is, sort of a blessing. So I'm grateful to have had this in my life for so long.
Yeah. I've been vegan now 11 years, and I think I'm glad I got out all that anger before I started the sanctuary and, became a little bit more of an influencer, if you know what I mean.
Sure.
And I've always sort of looked at it now, and after the angry years, that I think a more positive approach is just it just affects people so differently. A non-vegan coming to my website, coming to my Instagram, isn't put off. I don't show the horrors, and I think 90% of people in this day and age, certainly in the US, know what's going on in factory farms. But just showing them, look, here's what I eat. Look at what I do. Look at my pigs. I think it makes a bigger difference.
Yeah, my husband is also a longtime vegan, and his question whenever we encounter someone who's particularly militant is like, do you think they talk to their grandma like that? Because not a lot of people's grandmas are vegan, and if you're out here yelling at people and intimidating people or whatever, like, are you doing that when you visit your grandma and she's not eating vegan? Because my grandma's not vegan, and when I visit her, I'm not down her throat about what she's got in her freezer or whatever. Right. Like, I'm happy to talk to her about it. She asks me questions. She's curious about what I eat and how I live, but I'm certainly not shaming my own grandma.
Oh gosh, right, yeah. Do you talk to your grandma with that mouth?
Right. I mean, that would be bad for me anyway. My grandma's still pretty feisty.
Oh boy. Okay. I never thought about it that way. That's a great way to look at it.
She's in Villages, so she's another fellow Floridian.
Oh, okay. Where is she?
She's in the Villages.
She gets around then. I hear about the Villages.
And they have a vegan club, actually.
Do they really? Oh, wow. That's very cool.
Some people's grandmas are vegan because they're in there.
Wow. That's amazing. The Villages. Yeah, that's a show in its own, I think.
Have you seen there's a documentary about it?
I haven't seen the documentary yet. I'm dying to see it though. I
haven't watched it yet, but yeah, it's a wild place.
You visited her there then?
Yeah.
Very interesting place. Yeah, for those watching, if you don't know what the Villages is here in Florida, Google it. It's pretty fascinating, actually.
Yeah, it's like it's like a theme park, really.
Oh gosh, totally. Right. That's a great way.
For retired people.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I just got all these images in my head now, so I'm going to just not say anything else.
The next time I visit, I would really love to go to their vegan club meeting.
Yeah, that would be really awesome, right?
Yeah, I would love to go do that. Just see what they talk about.
What they talk about, right?
Yeah.
That'd be interesting. Yeah, I'd love to see like the kind of shape they're in and how good they look. And
just what's everyone eating? Do you
what's
guys
everybody eating? Yeah.
Like where do you are there restaurants that you go to? Because I always struggle when I'm there. Like it's
hard.
There's not a whole lot, but
yeah, if you're not in like Orlando or Miami.
Yeah. Usually we'll stay a few days with her, and then we'll get an Airbnb like in St. Pete's. So
Tampa, St. Pete's, great.
We can go to Golden Dinosaurs 3 times.
Oh, I love Golden Dinosaur. Yeah. We have a mutual friend, Mike Presley.
Yeah, I think Mike is how I first started following you and your sanctuary.
Oh, okay. Cool.
I think you had just done a really big pig rescue, and he sent me a link to it. So yeah, so Mike is, yeah,
small world. Yeah, he texted me last night. He's like, "Oh, you have Natalie on the show," and I'm like, "Oh, you know Natalie?" I had no idea you guys knew each other. You guys are totally the same team. Like
the last time I went to Florida, I'm usually there for the holidays, so I don't get to see a lot of the sanctuaries there because a lot of them are closed to tours during the holidays. So the last time I was down there, Mike and Jenny were nice enough to let us come visit like maybe 2 days after Christmas. So we got to, took kind of a long drive from the Villages to the shelter and got to meet all their animals, and it was really cool.
Yeah. Just reading some comments here that some of them are quite funny. Allison says, I would be like, Grandma, why are you torturing animals?
I'm more fielding questions from my grandma like, now can you eat strawberries? Like, yes. Yes, I can eat strawberries, Grandma. Thank you for asking.
Oh my goodness, right? Yeah.
But you eat lamb, right? Yes, I'm vegan except for lamb. Thank you.
Yeah. I had one person ask me, oh, but you can eat chicken, right? And I'm like, oh, chicken. Yeah. Goodness. So how'd the cookbook come about?
Well, the cookbook, what happened was for a while, like after Cupcake Wars and Cooking Channel, I'd been on some like local shows doing some vegan cooking, and I started sort of getting approached by different publishers that had kind of these like preconceived ideas that they just wanted me to write, so cupcakes were super popular then. So I had a lot of people approach me and say, we want you to do a cupcake book, but everybody was really intent on like putting it in a box. Like, somebody asked me to do a punk rock cupcake book. Okay, and so the way it works when a publisher approaches you with something like that, like you do a little bit of spec work and maybe you come up with a few ideas to see if you're on the same page. So I came up with a few ideas and sent them in, and they were like, yeah, we really wanted something more like, maybe a Sid Vicious cupcake with like a line of powdered sugar cocaine on it or something. And I was like, that's gross. And Sid Vicious did heroin. I mean, he probably did cocaine too, but like straight. And that's not even really the kind of punk I like. So I don't think I want to do that. So I had a lot of stuff like that coming my way. And I didn't feel comfortable with any of it. So I didn't really think it was anything I would ever do. And then a friend of mine who's a pretty prolific cookbook writer had mentioned me to her agent as somebody that might be interesting to have a meeting with. And so right away, I just really liked her. Her name is Sally Eckes. She's at Lisa Eckes. They represent a lot of chefs and cookbook authors. And, I explained to her, I'm interested in doing like, I would love to have a cookbook that someday I could just, look back on and I made this, but I don't want to do anything that's embarrassing. I want it to be as eclectic and strange as like my journey has been. And I like horror movies and wrestling and, like I like punk rock and I like black metal, and I want all of that to be in this book. And I want it to look like somebody out of Pee-wee's Playhouse designed it. And like, this is what I want. She was like, great, we won't stop until we find that, that publisher. And that's what she did. And we had a lot of meetings and I got a lot of feedback that I didn't like hearing at all. And then we finally found a publisher that just said, this sounds crazy, let's do it. And so at the time I had a ton of time off built up at work. And so I took pretty much a month off and I did nothing but cook. And so a lot of the recipes in the book were variations on things I had already made, but a lot of it was stuff that just all came out of this 1 month. And my husband took my son camping every chance he got. So I was just alone, just like cooking and cooking. And that's how it happened. And it was, and I will say to my publisher's credit, I think they made 2 edits to the whole book. One was in the foreword by CM Punk. He signed the book he signed his letter F Cookbooks. Okay. Because we have sort of an inside joke about my mom made him an Easter basket way back when, and he was kind of a jerk, and he told my mom F Easter, which is like not really great. But then it became like what my family all says to each other on Easter now. We text each other F Easter. So he signed his forward F cookbooks, but no one else would know why, you know. So maybe not that. And then I made one kind of, you know, suggestive. I turned a suggestive phrase in another part of the book that they were like, maybe not that. But otherwise, like, there's so much weird stuff in here that they just kept in. So it's
a great read. I really like it. It's and what's really fun about it is it's everyday ingredients. You know, anybody can. Yeah,
well, at the time when I wrote it, honestly, a lot of convenience vegan products didn't exist. So I had to make my own cream cheese. I had to make, you know, a lot of the stuff you could maybe get your hands on some tofutti if you have a health food store near you, but couldn't really buy it. So I think a lot of the recipes in the book now, like you could really, I've even rewritten some of them for my website. Like, hey, you know what? Now you can buy a vegan version of Cool Whip, a vegan.
That's true. Yeah.
Vegan Scores bars.
Yeah.
You can just make this with 3 things now instead of the 6 pages of instructions that I had to write in this book. So I have been like going through it and blogging like the cheater versions of a lot of these recipes.
Cheater versions.
Yeah.
Flapjack. You're so cute.
She just has to be on top of one.
She's so cute. Oh my God.
My husband found her living under a car.
Wow, really?
Yeah, right by the Upton's Naturals factory.
Oh my gosh. How cool. Wow.
Only weighed 2 pounds. Cute. She was starving.
Oh.
She had 2 kinds of worms. Her jaw was broken.
Oh no.
And now she's our little potato.
Look at her. She's so cute. Oh my goodness. Oh, thanks for saving her. She's so sweet. What a cutie.
Well, if you're going to be a stray dog, a really good place to do it is right next to a vegan food factory.
It's like seriously the perfect place, right? Oh my goodness. So Upton's Naturals.
Yeah.
They make some fun products.
Yeah, I'm qualified for my job, but I was very lucky to be in the right place at the right time when it opened up, because I love Upton's Naturals. Like, I've been a fan of the brand since the beginning, and I've been very friendly with the owner Dan, and the vice president Nicole, and I we've known each other for more than 20 years. We met on a message board when we were in high school. So it was just like, it's just really, it's cool that I get to work for and with my friends.
Yeah, that's totally
at a vegan brand, making products that I've been buying for 15 years. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's very cool. I never even knew they had a restaurant until like yesterday.
Oh yeah.
I had no idea.
It started out because that building used to be the factory, and Dan wanted to be able to provide a free vegan lunch for everybody working in the factory every day. So the restaurant was a way that they could make everybody's lunch and also have a nice little showcase for the public of the products they were making. So
very cool.
If you're curious about vegan bacon, hey, here's a breakfast sandwich, like try it this way. So that's how it started. Eventually they outgrew that factory space, and now the buildings are separate. Yeah. We're still making lunch for everybody every day. We're just making it in a different building now, but that's the break room. And then last year we opened Liberation Donuts, which is
I saw that
Chicago's first vegan-owned donut shop.
I would be big as a house if I worked there.
I would
live in the donut shop.
Yeah, the struggle was real.
So now are they is that part of Upton's, or was that like somebody else and you guys merged, or it's just something that evolved from?
No, Liberation is part of Upton's.
Okay.
Dan always wanted to do a donut shop. It was like one of the things. He's got a list of businesses that he would like to do, and it just kind of made sense. We had this space, like it's, the building was a factory, so there's a ton of space to work with. And then the timing just worked out. We happened to find out that the director of operations from Donut Friend in LA was moving to Chicago. His wife was in a program here for school. And so we had someone with vegan donut experience that was moving here. So he came on board, and it all just kind of worked out. But actually the logo for Liberation Donuts, which is a person wearing a balaclava, like an ode to kind of the animal liberation front. The person inside of it is Upton. If you look closely,
really? I didn't know.
If you look closely, you'll see that it's Upton.
Okay. I'll have to check that out. Who does the artwork? I love the artwork. It's
we have a design team here in Chicago that they're called Delicious Design League. They really only recently, we were their first food client. They have a few more now, but they primarily did like posters for bands. And so it was really unusual at the time to have food packaging sort of in the style that we were doing.
Yeah.
Because they were coming at it without any food experience. They were coming at it just like from a design perspective purely. So now I think, especially with like craft beers and things like that, there are you see a lot more food packaging with kind of that, that design element.
Yeah, there's some really cool graphic stuff going on now. It's a lot of fun, especially with the food. The IPA.
Yeah, they do it all.
Really
and actually
cool.
Upton was designed by Johnny Sampson, who is an artist with Mad Magazine. He does the fold-ins.
Love Mad. I grew up with Mad Magazine. That's
that's a little fun fact about Upton that not a lot of people know, but he was designed by a Mad Magazine artist.
That's awesome. I love that. Now that I can sort of see that now, thinking about the Mad
It's sort
Magazine.
of a caricature, like,
Yeah. Fun. So I thought it'd be fun if you and I settled an age-old debate that our vegan ancestors debated over, and that is, what would you do if you were stranded on a desert island with a pig?
Oh my gosh. This scenario drives me so crazy. Because like, my friends and I wrote a travel brochure for Pig Island because it's a destination that somehow only vegans end up at.
It's true.
It's like, I don't know how we're all getting stranded on this.
I don't know how we're getting stranded on this island. I mean, I wouldn't mind it, but man.
The thing about it is the pigs are eating something, right?
Yeah.
Because they're alive. So,
exactly.
And, having met my fair share of pigs, they're very smart.
Very smart, yeah.
I would just follow them and see what they're eating and then just share it with them. It's not, but yeah, I'm always really curious how we all end up on Pig Island.
Yeah, me too. It's just, gosh.
So what would your plan be?
Oh my goodness. Well, knowing pigs the way I know them intimately, I'm sure I'd be fine. I would, it actually probably wouldn't be much different than my life right now. So
yeah, you are on Pig Island.
I'm on Pig Island for sure. So. Yeah,
it's one of those
rooting around, I'm sure a coconut would fall off one of those trees or something,
There's something's growing somewhere.
Something's growing somewhere, and or they're swimming somewhere. I'll just swim behind them and have a good time,
Our physiology is so similar
to my gosh,
humans
really
and pigs. Like whatever they're eating will work for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's genetically they're really similar to us.
I think
the unfortunate part that they use like pig valves for heart valves in people and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah,
they're really very similar to us in a lot of ways.
It's one of those questions that just kind of reminds me of how much people do kind of mentally separate like the fact that animals are living and intelligent from the reality that they want to continue eating them. Because when I have been asked that question, which I have been asked that question a lot, and I answer that I would just eat what they're eating, is always this like, oh yeah, kind of like, oh yeah, they're eating something. Like if they're alive, they're eating something. It's like the same question as when people ask like, but if we stop milking cows, wouldn't they explode?
Gosh. Yeah.
And you're like, they have to have recently given birth to make milk, right? And
there's a lot of people who do not know that.
No, they don't.
I'm always surprised.
Because it just makes it easier to keep doing what you do if you don't have to think about that at all. And I don't hold it against people, because the only way that you and I know that is because we found out or we sought it out, and it was like a pretty jarring thing to like have to deal with, and you make huge life adjustments when you decide that you don't want any part of that. So
for sure,
I get it, but yeah, it's interesting to be on the other side of that and just like kind of watch people like intelligent people just put these kind of barriers up of like
hopefully intelligent people. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh my goodness. So what else are we going to talk about today? What else do you want to talk about?
Oh my gosh. Well, I watched that really cool little like video biography about you that just came out.
Oh, they did a good job. They did a good job. With
so
that.
Nice.
I was impressed. I was surprised.
Yeah, no,
thanks. You do these little Zoom meetings now because that's what everybody does, and you just never know what it's going to turn out to be.
Right.
And usually it's always the same questions, the same everything, and I try to change it up a little. And this was really done. It was really nice to see it from a different angle. They did a great job.
Yeah, it was really cool. And actually, I remember when I first read about you, when Mike told me about your sanctuary, and your mom's name, Ursula, first of all, is such a cool name.
Yeah.
And is also one of the names that my boss has always wanted to use for something. Like
really?
The top was almost Ursula's.
Oh, wow.
He loves that name. So
very cool.
It's like it's not a name you hear a lot. So when
not at all.
No,
very German. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that's very cool.
Yeah. Recommend a documentary for somebody that's really changed your thoughts on animals.
Documentary about animals. I kind of avoid the really animal-centric documentaries. I just
torture ones, yeah.
Yeah, I have a hard time with those. I have a lot of respect for the people who go and like bear witness, and I don't have the stomach for it. I don't have the stomach even for really what you do. Like I'm sure the cases that you see and things, like I don't know that I could do that. So
that's pretty hard.
I don't watch a lot of the really animal focused ones. I will say when my son was little, this is a documentary, but when my son was little, he was obsessed with Babe. We watched it on loop, multiple times a day. And I remember watching that with him and wondering how many parents were watching that and not like making the connection, because my son's never eaten an animal before. And
that's awesome.
So him watching that movie, he like it never occurred to him that an animal might be in danger for becoming food. And but I don't know. I mean, really a documentary that meant a lot to me personally at the time when I watched it was Forks Over Knives.
Good one. Yeah, I like that one. Yeah.
I had just lost my dad, and my dad had health problems his whole life. He had high cholesterol, high blood pressure. He was on, literally there's a moment in the documentary where there's a man with high blood pressure who shows his Ziploc freezer bag full of medication. Yeah. My dad had that bag. He had a bag like that full of medication, and he had passed away. And then that documentary came out, and Whole Foods did this big thing where they invited a lot of bloggers to go see it. And so I saw it as part of that group, and I cried in the theater. I was the only person crying during this documentary that's about health and the fact that you could take your health back. But it just really hit me that, if my dad had better access to information about nutrition, or if a plant-based diet was like a bigger part of, his health plan, that, maybe that he wouldn't have died so young. And so that documentary really stuck with me. I went home from that, and I was like, my husband, I was like, you have to watch this. And even already having a vegan diet, like I made even more changes kind of to what I was eating and how I was cooking. And so that one, it really impacted me, and I still recommend it to people because I think there's a lot to it about just kind of what you can have control over in your life and how beneficial. I'm not a health vegan. I'm not like a hashtag health vegan by any means.
Me neither.
I love junk food, but
me too.
I think it's good. It's a really well presented like information about just how you can reverse damage with a plant-based diet. And I don't think I'm wary of a lot of woo nonsense, and I think it was pretty light on the nonsense. I think it was pretty based in science and facts. And so
I think so.
I really like that one. Yeah. What's one that you recommend?
I like Cowspiracy. I think it's got just enough of the animal info, showing the animals that just isn't to the point of like, you're like, can't watch it anymore.
Yeah.
And just the holds that the food industry has over in the US, I'm sure across the world, but once it's, I always say the food industry makes us sick, the pharmaceutical industry keeps us sick. And that movie really, even having been vegan, it was, you have to be careful what you say. You can't say anything about a food company that will destroy its, bottom line.
Right.
So it's just crazy.
I think another one like that I watched, already vegan, but that I thought was really eye-opening too was Fed Up, which is really about sugar.
Sugar, yeah, that was crazy, right?
But it's so connected to dairy.
Yeah,
there's so much about dairy in that documentary that I wasn't expecting.
Yep.
So I thought that one was really interesting too.
Yeah, we, it's funny, we have Lake Okeechobee, and all the sugar production is right around that lake. And then, we're on the West Coast, so all the toxic plumes are happening because they drain Lake Okeechobee when it gets too high. And then there's always the toxic algae blooms, and the fish are dying here. And it's every year, it's the same thing over and over. And nobody ever mentions the sugar production, ever.
No.
And I'm just like,
yeah.
I'm just like, never, ever, ever is it mentioned.
Yeah.
Like, what are we going to do about the toxic algae? How are we going to stop buying sugar, guys? Like, close it down,
Yeah. Just the fact that there's no daily value on nutrition labels is
nothing.
so wild. Yeah, it's so wild. And then when I actually learned like what those daily values are recommended by nutritionists, like you could blow through that eating a fruit salad in the morning. Like it's so low, and we're consuming so much of it. And again, like these are two people who love cupcakes that are having this conversation. Like
exactly.
I'm not anti-sugar, but I am.
Yeah, me neither. But
you know, I do think we deserve transparency.
They can do much better than that. What they're doing here, it's money.
Yeah.
Money.
Yeah. I listen to a really great podcast called The Bearded Vegans.
I know that. Yeah.
And like,
I like the cranky
really wait
vegans
for their movie reviews to decide if I have the stomach for it or if it's going to make me really mad. I wait to see what they think.
Yeah, me too. I like the cranky vegan too, because he's one of my favorites. We think alike.
Yeah, I like cranky vegan.
He's really controversial, but I think he's got a lot of good stuff to say, even amongst how vegans treat each other and all that stuff. Yeah. I mean, that's I deal with a lot of that. Yeah, sure. Well, we're almost at the end of the show. Thank you for coming on today. It was great to talk to you. You
too. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah. I know that Tiffany will put up all your links and your Bacon Destroy on Instagram and bacondestroy.com is your website. Great cookbook available on Amazon and I'm sure in other places, but so easy to get on Amazon. Final thoughts?
Just,
go vegan.
Treat everybody like you would treat your grandma and
well said. Awesome. Absolutely. Have a great day. Thanks for being on the show.
You too. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Perfectly.
Bye, Flapjack. All right. That was a lot of fun. I like Natalie. All right. Who's here today? I'm going to go down the list. Oh my goodness. Look at all these comments. Sorry, guys. I didn't get to anybody today. Michelle. Hello, Michelle. Ruth. Good morning, Ruth. Good afternoon. Elizabeth. Hey, Elizabeth. Haven't seen you in a while. Allison. You're so funny, Allison. I was cracking up. Allison would read her grandma. Gloria. Hey, Gloria. How's it going? Let's see. What else? Wilma, hey Wilma, how did your interview go? And Kevin, hey Kevin, how's it going, man? Michelle, hey Michelle. Yeah, our cookbook's really great. I love her cookbook, but like she was saying, there's a lot of great products now, like the vegan cream cheese and a lot of stuff. So it's even easier now. But I love the recipe. She has the best cupcakes in the world. Vegan mac and cheese balls, unbelievable recipe. Her banana French toast cupcakes are to die for. I love she does these chocolate pumpkin muffins with a streusel on top. Give me streusel any day of the week. It's good stuff. It's comfort food. Taco lasagna. I mean, who doesn't like taco lasagna? It's nothing better than that. She's got really fun merch. I'm wearing one of her shirts. Just kind of a take on, I don't know if you guys can see it. Here we go. It's got a little bunny pentagram and it says, "Welcome to Kale." Welcome to Kale. So a couple announcements. We are a part of the GOAT Games this year. We're really excited about it. It's happening now, and the event starts August 14th through the 21st of August, so it's Saturday to Saturday. The link it's on our website. There's a direct link, which is on my Facebook page, and I'll throw it up on the Little Bear Sanctuary page today, and it's a couple different things you can do. So it came about last year with our friends at Catskill Animal Sanctuary, and because the Olympics were canceled, they decided to do the Goat Games 2020 and feature their goats. And it's a run, swim, jog, bike, couch potato event. It's literally whatever works for your style. You can do it at home. You can do it with a group. A couple different ways to join. You can join as a fan and make a donation, or you can join as an athlete and help raise money. And what will happen is, I think it's a $25 donation, and you get like a little racing bib, with the number. I know you get a certificate, and then what they'll do is you'll get your own landing page, and where you can set the dollar amount you want to fundraise for the sanctuary. So we've already had some people sign up. So for instance, if you want to actually walk or even sit on your couch and eat bonbons and tell how many bonbons you want to eat, you can sign up as an athlete and ask your friends to donate, and you'll have your own little page, and you can set like a $500 limit or $100 limit, have your friends donate on your page directly. It's a really great setup. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to do a live event on August 14th with our friends at Millennial Brewery and Apothecary. I think it's on the 15th of August, and it's a vegan brunch. Percentage will go to the sanctuary. That Thursday, August 19th in the evening, we're going to do a 5K run from the brewery in Fort Myers. And I'm not sure about the following Saturday, but we got something in the works for that. I'm really excited about it. I got to dust off my running shoes. So yeah, check it out. It's the Goat Games 2021. It's Little Bear Sanctuary and 9 other sanctuaries that are all part of the Global Federation of Animal Sanctuaries. So you have to be verified or certified by GFAS. And GFAS is, I've talked about it a million times. They're a nonprofit that verifies and certifies true sanctuaries who have the best vet care, the best practices, the best care for the animals. Animals, are never kept in cages. They get to roam free in their natural environment. It's the first thing that I decided to do as Little Bear Sanctuary is to make sure we got verified by GFAS. It's free to do if you're a sanctuary. They do a site visit. It's hundreds of pages of paperwork. So we're really proud that we've got this verification. I believe the last I saw is that 3, they do this globally. So I think about 3% of sanctuaries globally get this verification and certification. It's a big deal. We're happy to be a part of them, and we're really excited about this event. It's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, check it out online. We'll be posting more about it as time gets close. And I've got a couple more minutes. So the Goat Games 2021, our mascot is Shrek. I don't know if you guys know Shrek. He is our pygmy goat. He is such a good boy. He's the smallest of the goats, and he's our fearless leader. He's the first person who you're going to meet when you come to the sanctuary, because he's going to be right up on you, rubbing him. He loves to rub on people. He's got huge horns and a big beard, and he's such a good boy, and we're so happy to have him as our mascot. So he's our mascot for Team Little Bear. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm grateful to be a part with all these other sanctuaries. I thought I had the list of the other sanctuaries. Oh, here we go. So it's us. It's Barn Sanctuary in Michigan, Formasta Animal Sanctuary in Minnesota, Heartwood Haven in Washington, Indraloka in Pennsylvania, Kindred Spirits here in Florida, Posado's Safe Haven in Washington, Piedmont Farm Animal Refuge in North Carolina, and Wildwood Farm Sanctuary and Preserve in Oregon. So great, amazing animal sanctuaries. And of course, Catskill Animal Sanctuary, our friends at Catskill. Really so happy to be a part of this amazing group. And I know this is the first test, so I think next year we're going to try to make it bigger and bigger. Anyway, it's going to be national publicity. I hope you guys will join us. Walk in your backyard, swim in your backyard, be creative, raise some money for Little Bear. We are going to use these funds to build a much needed pole barn. It's time. We're looking to raise 20 G's, $20,000. I know we can do it. Would love it if you guys help us out. Register, tell your friends about it, share it. It's going to be a lot of fun. That's my show for today. Next week, Melissa, where's my schedule? Good old Melissa's on next week from Goldylocks, Melissa Parks. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to seeing her next week. I was going to be off on June 30th, but I am going to do a show, so I have no idea what I'm going to do yet. I don't even think Tiffany knew that one. So yeah, we got a bunch of really fun people lined up for August. I'm not even going to tell you about it yet. It's going to be a lot of fun. So well, Miss Pig is listening to the show today. So yeah, that's all I got today. This is Chris Vane signing out. And remember, peace begins on your plate. I love you guys.
Don't want the fun to end? Grab more refreshments. Then head over to the Goldylocks Productions YouTube channel. With the huge selection of shows, the fun doesn't have to end.